Why do I put so much effort in the first words of each episode? It's because first impressions matter. And today, you will learn how to make a great one for your players. Welcome to Creative Contraband.
Welcome to How to Be a Better DM, the show that helps dungeon masters tell better stories and run more engaging games. This is Creative Contraband, where we take ideas from elsewhere and smuggle them into our craft to take it one step further. And remember, all of this is brought to you by Session Zero Studios.
Hello, dear people who follow me and listen to this show every week. My name is Daniel, you can call me Danny, and I have been a semi-professional artist for about a decade now. I am a little bit nervous looking at the camera, I feel weird, so that's why I will probably be, looking around everywhere. Eye contact is a thing for me, even with the camera, but I will be doing my best. I have worked in magic, theater and music, so hopefully I will find the right words to convey something interesting or something useful for you as a DM or GM. If you haven't been here before in Creative Contraband, well, this is the first video episode. This feels so weird, but I'm loving it. This is an experiment made by the How to Be a Better DM team. Justin told me I should make a pilot of 12 episodes, and it's been going great so far. I mean, we have been getting very good feedback, so hopefully we can extend this, but this also depends on you. So please join the Discord, follow us on Instagram at HowToBetterDM Podcast and at GameMaster.Huff. Huff as in Hofzinser or as in Hall of Fame. So, what are we going to be talking today? I will be letting you know right now, but before I need to bring my support pet. I am very sorry if you're in Spotify right now. I highly recommend you to turn on the video podcast thing because my dog is the cutest. I'm not saying yours is not cute at all, but let's face it, mine is the cutest. So, here we are. This is Iggy. Say hi, Iggy. Hi. Okay, so he's going to be here by my side. I mean, he sometimes is when I record, but now you can at times see him. So, as I said in the intro, beginnings are important. First impressions are important. And many disciplines go through this. I mean, almost everything has a beginning. A theater play, a project, and data analysis or something, I would guess. Almost all disciplines need a good start. A magic trick needs to be very clear from the beginning. If you don't understand what the initial situation is very clearly from the beginning, then you will not be able what is magical about the final situation being very different. In medicine, you have to get a very good diagnosis in order to be able to heal a person or to give them treatment. In education, all studies say that the first years of education, the early education, are the most important years. So the same goes for our campaigns and our sessions. We have many first impressions to make. Of course, the first one of the campaign or the first one with a new group is the most important one. But every session is a new beginning, and today we will explore how to make it the best beginning possible. We will take the example of chess players. I don't know if there is any chess players in the audience. There very likely are. I'm going to leave the dog right to my side just for a bit. Okay, chess players know better than anyone what the best way of preparing for a game is. And they do this by prepping. They do something kind of similar to what we do regarding beginnings in particular, because chess players, they study concepts, of course, they study positions, they study the value of different pieces. They study many concepts that you can adapt to many different situations. But because at the beginning the position is always the same, and there is only a finite range of options for players to make, and only some of those are optimized, then the amount of positions you can face as a player in the first, let's say, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8 turns, there are not that many different positions to face. So you can prep for those exactly, and that's what they do. I mean, the amount of positions, or the optimal ones, is of course growing exponentially with every play one makes, and the very good players can take detours from those positions to try different stuff and trying to find a position that the opponent is not really too prepared for. But mostly those are the same positions that we have been playing for the last century or so, maybe even more time, and most of these have names like the King's Gambit, or the Sicilian opening, or the Four Horses opening, or the Spanish one, or the Queen's Gambit. And we can do this because there is a finite amount of options for us to prepare for. In TTRPGs, the amount of options is technically infinite, but in practice it's finite. Because if our players are in a city where they have to solve a crime, they are going to stay within the city, and the amount of important NPCs they can talk to is finite too. It's maybe the lady that sells flowers at the store, or it's maybe the chief of police, or it's maybe, I don't know, the grave digger or something. But we can prepare for all of this. And again, we can learn from chess players here. So chess is a very, very old sport. So they have been optimizing the strategies to face all these different challenges for centuries now. And they have found that when they can prepare for a finite amount of options, then preparing for each of them is the most optimal way. When they can't prepare for the different amount of options because they are too many, then what they do is they take the concepts and they apply it to the different positions. And we can learn a lot from this, because when we start a campaign, we decide where the campaign starts, and it is very likely that, unless our players are like really, I don't know, they have a really wacky playstyle or something, and they are kind of rebel or something, they will do one of, let's say, 3 or 4 things. Let's say this is a classical beginning of campaign in a tavern. So you have the party at your tavern, and you plan for them to talk to the bartender because the bartender is going to give them a mission. So we have a couple options here. First, they will talk to the bartender somehow, so you can prepare that specific conversation. Number 2, they will begin a fight, because that's apparently something that players tend to do a lot, so you can prep for that too. And that's not really like huge prepping, you know? You can perfectly do that once, especially if it's for the beginning of your campaign. And I will talk about text in just a moment. That for me is particularly important. Number 3, they are going to, let's say, start investigating the place. You can maybe prepare a kitchen. You can have a description prepared for a kitchen that they will likely not use, but if you're not really good at improv, then that is going to be very useful for you to have when they go and do that. And number 4, I don't know, they will leave the tavern, maybe. they will fight against each other or something. I don't know. And if they leave the tavern, you can have prepared a solution that's one size fits most or fits all. Like, I don't know, they go outside and the police have actually closed the door, or the door is locked or jammed because there is, I don't know, an accident outside, or there's a fight. There is another bar fight, and there's just so many people that they can't go out even though they try, and they can maybe watch from afar, but the people won't let them get to the fighters. So you can have solutions like this, and the crazier the position that you are in, the less necessary that it is for the solution to be like really, really well thought or really, really fleshed out. So this is the most important thing I want you to take away from today's video. First impressions are essential, and the best way we can deal with them is by prepping. We can extrapolate this analysis for sessions too. Every session we will know exactly what the starting point is. Even though the starting amount of options is infinite, we know the motivations of each of our characters. We know what they are doing, we know why they are where they are, and we can lean on that to prep for the most likely choices they will make. We should, after a couple of sessions, know our players a little bit more, and we should be ready to understand a little bit of how they think, what their playstyle is, and what is more likely for them to do. And we can prepare specifically for that. Now, this is kind of obvious, right? I mean, we prep as GMs or DMs. Some of us prep more, some of us prep less, but we most prep, and we usually tend to lean on the beginning of the session because that's what we know will happen, or that's what we know the situation is. So nothing too impressive so far, right? But I want you to think about the dialogues and the text. Prepping is one thing, and we all usually prep for NPCs, names, possible places for them to go. But I would say that one of the most important parts of a narration is the text, is the description, is how you immerse your players at the beginning of the session. You have to set the mood. And as I said the last episode, it is way harder to set the mood if you don't really know what you want to say, for example. Or if you make a mistake and start describing something else, and it turns out this is a horror game, and now no one is terrorized because, I don't know, you mispronounced the word, or you started saying A and you had to say B. So that mood setting, that first impression is very, very important. And I would highly suggest you prep for that. Okay? I'm going to make a small experiment. I am going to set two scenes, or I am going to set the same scene twice. The first one I am going to improvise it, and the second one I am going to narrate something I have already scripted. And we will see how it works, what the difference is. Of course, in my case, because English is not my native language, there is an added barrier, but I will do my best, and I hope the point still stands, okay? So, let's go. Music! So, this is the improvised one. I mean, you should be able to tell anyway, but still. The story begins in a room, a big one. There is dust filling the air and a light that flickers. And under that light, there is a boot. And there is a small rat with its small claws and teeth biting that boot. There is a weird, unpleasant smell in the air, and the rat goes around the boot, he sniffs everything, and suddenly it starts following the path that leads to a leg, actually. And it starts biting the leg, and blood starts flowing from it. And that's when you feel the blood on your pants. What do you do? Okay, now the scripted one. I really tried to do my best. I know that wasn't very good. Well, I am also not very good at improvising, but sure, whatever. Okay, so the next one. The story begins in a nearly empty basement. A rat appears and disappears beneath the flicker of a single lamp. Dust hangs thick in the air, blurring our view of the rat as it gnaws at an old black boot lying on the floor. It nibbles timidly but hungrily. Dampness and suspended dirt mingle into a heavy, unpleasant smell. The rat's tiny paws leave wet tracks from the sewer it just crawled out of. The room is large. There is echo. A lot of echo. The rat circles the boot, searching for something to bite. It sniffs the sole, the laces, the tongue. Then it keeps going and begins to gnaw at the ankle. It laps at the faint trickle of blood seeping from the calf. A spasm startles the rat, which darts into the pant leg, following the line of the leg upward. You jerk your torso upright, bracing your hands against the floor, coughing, disoriented. What do you do? So, I mean, the difference, I would say, is pretty clear. First, because I don't have a fifth of the lexicon of the vocabulary I need to make that second description out of the blue. But also because even if I did, the second text is very efficient. It is very efficiently worded, and it has been designed that way to reduce the cognitive load of the listeners. And if you have listened to other previous Creative Contraband episodes, you will know that I am big on reducing cognitive load because I am a magician. And we usually do lots of stuff, and if we do way too much stuff and we confuse the audience, then people can't quite understand what we are doing, and it's just confusion and not art. So every sentence in the second text has a purpose. It doesn't repeat itself, and it tries to say something new or trigger a feeling or a sense. So, even though the first example I know was particularly bad, I still want to point out how much of a difference this makes. And I said this the previous episode too, for the last moments of a session. Script it. Please script it. It is very important. And if you haven't listened to the previous episode yet, go and do it. I highly recommend it. There is a lot of stuff that you can also apply here. There I talk about the end of the sessions and the lasting impression that the last impression leaves. Here I talk about the first impression. But that's what I wanted to share for today. So I hope this helps you. And I will probably be talking a little bit more in depth about scripting and writing specifically, because I think that synergizes very good with what I have talked about today, and the last episode. The sound of the audience's questions is back because, well, today we don't have a question to answer actually, but I got a comment in the Discord that I wanted to talk about because it tackles the thing of how to manufacture memorable moments, considering that you never know how the table might respond to something you have built up in your planning. So I wanted to use the finite options thing we talked about to address this topic in particular. And that's right. I mean, memorable moments are hard to manufacture, especially when you are a DM that likes giving the players lots of agency, which is very, very good. I would say that's something to try and embrace. But that also makes it harder for us to be ready for whatever they might throw at us. And what I would recommend here is to try to maybe think about memorable moments as things that can sometimes be modular. Moments are comprised of people or characters or entities that participate in them, emotions that rise to the surface, and I would say, I mean, among many other things, of course, setting, place, and everything, but it is mostly about the characters, the emotion that rises, and the way they interact that makes this emotion rise. For example, you might not know what is going to happen during the session, but you might know that you want to make some of the party's characters feel nostalgic through a dialogue, for example. And when the session starts moving forward, you can adapt that depending on what is happening in the session. You can maybe think, okay, so it's not going to be these two characters, but these two. Or you can say, okay, so I have planned this moment for these two characters through a dialogue, but maybe the session has been wackier and more comedic, so maybe it's not nostalgia that I'm going for, but something else. So you can prepare for a kind of moment, but be flexible about how that's going to play out. You might change the dialogue for finding an item or an artifact, for example, or finding something, a piece of a rock that was part of the house of, I don't know, an old friend. Or maybe it's not a dialogue, it's not finding something, it's just a memory. Maybe you had planned a dream for one of the players and it turns out that player is not sleeping this session, but you can maybe use a similar dream for another one of the players. Or maybe it's not a dream now, it's that they went to a specific city that triggered the memory, and the mental trip that the character goes through is very similar. So you can try to craft these memorable moments through the different aspects of the memorable moments, and that can make it easier to adapt to whatever the table throws at you. So yeah, that I really hope it's useful for you and your table and your moments. Let me know through the Discord how it goes, and yeah, I will be eager to hear how that works. At the end of each episode, I will leave you with a word or quote that you might know or not, but that I think can help you level up your game as a DM and as an artist. Today's word is infinitesimal. Infinitesimal refers to something immeasurably or infinitely small, approaching zero in magnitude. We can, for example, say in a sentence, this glass has only infinitesimal traces of poison, so it shouldn't have killed him. Or we could say, we should fight the king, it only poses an infinitesimal risk due to his age. So yeah, if you have another cool sentence, leave it in the comments so I can read it too. And that's it for today. Thank you for joining us, and I want to thank not only you, the audience, for being here and for being so understanding with the whole eye contact situation and the video situation. I also want to thank the How to Be a Better DM team who have given me the option to be here. I don't think I ever imagined having my face here in this channel. So yeah, they have been very patient with me and they have given me great feedback, so I really appreciate it. If you have any comments, positive or negative, you can join the Discord and let us know, or you can let us know through the Instagram at How to Be a Better DM Podcast and at gamemaster.hof. You can share this podcast with a friend. You can share it with your community, with your table. I think everyone has something to learn from these episodes. And yeah, remember, there are lessons in every craft, and I want to bring them all to your table. So we'll be back next week with another handcrafted episode, and until then, let's roll initiative.
This is Creative Contraband, brought to you by Session Zero Studios.